It's Song Talk Radio.
Welcome to Song Talk Radio, the show with songwriters talking to other songwriters about the craft of songwriting. We share tips, tools, and techniques, and together we all become better at writing songs. I'm your host, Neil Modi, and with me, my co-host, Phil Emery. How you doing, Phil?
It's a very windy and rainy day here in St. John's, Newfoundland, as it often is, but it's especially rainy and windy, so it's all part of the joys of being on the coast of the country.
Yeah.
The coast, actually, I think we're like 10 minutes away from the furthest point of North America. So
yeah, you're on the coast of the continent, for crying out loud.
Yeah, there's no more North America after us, so there you go.
Yes. All right. And for everyone else, please send your comments and questions and weather reports to at Song Talk Radio on Facebook or Instagram, or feedback at songtalk.ca for the email, and we'll share your thoughts on the show. And please visit songtalk.ca to see the show post for this episode, to find links to resources we mentioned, and to download lyric and chord sheets to follow along with the songs that we feature. Tonight, we're very happy to welcome to the show LA-based singer-songwriter Nathan Jacques. How are you, Nathan?
Hey there, I'm doing great. Happy to be here. How are you guys?
We're doing pretty good.
So
yeah, and you're joining us from the road in Arizona, is that right?
That I am. We are currently on the last leg of our tour here through the Southwest, and so excuse any background noise, but I am in the backseat of the van and excited to talk to you guys about some songs.
All righty. That sounds great. Yeah, stay safe on the road. All right. And before we get to Nathan's most excellent song, just a final heads up for our Songwriting Challenge 2024 to write a holiday song. Check out the web post on songtalk.ca on the sidebar there. This is Songwriting Challenge 2024. So far, we've done one episode of the host answers to the challenge, which was my song. Phil's answer is coming up soon. And then, of course, our listener songs. We want to thank all our listeners and former guests who have sent in their holiday songs for us to showcase on the podcast. We're looking forward to doing episodes right up until the holiday season, pretty much, right until about Christmas.
Yeah, we got some great ones.
Yeah,
great ones. Yeah,
some awesome
really
songs
good
you
stuff.
guys have been sending in. So looking forward to doing that. So stay tuned for all that great stuff. And it's been over a week now, but the passing away of Quincy Jones. He was 91 years old, renowned producer, songwriter, everything, a music man to the max. What's your reflection on Quincy Jones there, Phil?
Well, it's, he's huge. I mean, he started off, as a jazz guy, and he's worked with Count Basie and Frank Sinatra, but he also was like one of the driving forces behind, Michael Jackson stuff. Thriller and Bad, and he did like film scores. He was an incredible talent, but he also seemed to be a really class guy too. Like he seemed to be very together and very driven, and a lot of people in the music industry can be quite larger than life because you sort of need to be, but he seemed to be really the real deal. Our condolences go out to him and his family and all his friends and all the people he's worked with.
Yeah, and all his fans. I mean, well, what a tour de force he was. Yeah, I mean, for myself, I wasn't all. I mean, I've known his name, obviously, right? Just because he's one of those producers that not only musicians know about, but I think generally in the wider world, they all know about him. But my reflection is really about Michael Jackson's Thriller, which I was a kid when that was released, and that was my first introduction to sort of music as a pop art form that I actually knew who the artist was and knew some stuff about him, but I didn't know at the time who Quincy Jones was, and I didn't sort of learn about him until I revisited Thriller years and years later, like maybe 20 years later, and then I realized what an absolute genius he was when it came to putting that album together. As much as a lot of Michael Jackson's songwriting was impeccable on that album, is Quincy Jones' deft hand with arrangements and just tasty bits, and it's just incredible what he managed to put together on that thing. So I've always held him in high regard for all that, and all the countless other things.
And I mean, he's putting out albums since 1955.
Yeah.
So that's and started playing in '53, I think, as a trumpet player.
It was 91 when you passed away last week. So yeah. How about for yourself, Nathan? You got any thoughts about Quincy Jones?
I mean, you guys kind of touched on the main things. Absolutely legendary in so many facets, but it just kind of makes me think. Anytime that obviously anyone passes and who's a figurehead of a certain industry or anything like that, and he certainly was. Just the amount of ripples that a titan like that creates across such a storied career is just crazy. And going back to, it's a thriller, and then just moving through to all of his, I mean, he was making legendary pieces of art for the vast majority of his whole life, which is just an insane thing to think about. But you just really take a moment to realize how many people it takes to make something so incredible, like Thriller, for example. And although one person's name, for sure gets most of the credit, I suppose, it's just, this is all about teamwork and coming together of genius minds and really working the magical wheel of creation together. So I don't know, I'm just very thankful for any piece of the puzzle of my creations that I've worked on and all the others that I love so much, that just knowing that it takes so many hands and so many different incredible minds to make something. Lost a good one, but not like you won't be remembered. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go to Wikipedia and see his discography page. It just goes on forever. Soundtracks,
scrolling.
Soundman. He was a sideman for some of them, and arranger, and singles. Like a vault. He does a lot of stuff. So
deft hand throughout a lot of projects. Amazing. Okay, yeah, definitely our condolences out to Quincy Jones' family and friends and fans and everybody in the music world and beyond. Final thing. So our episode last week was with singer-songwriter Nancy Blue, and she had a little jazz song called Bumblebee, and she had a flute player featured on her song, and the flute was making a sound like a bumblebee. It was fluttering and it was kind of buzzing around and that sort of thing. And we discussed, especially in the after show, if you check it out on YouTube, we always keep the end credit scene on the YouTube channel. And we're talking about what, is there a term for that? Is there a musical or literary term for that? And the only thing we could come up with was onomatopoeia, but we knew that was wrong, because onomatopoeia is like the word for that sounds like the sound, like the word buzz or the word whack. Sounds like the sound itself that it's representing. But I actually posted this question on there's a music theory Facebook group, and a bunch of people responded, and some people were calling it program music, which didn't make a lot of sense to me. But I guess there is some thought about it being program music. But the one that made the most sense to me was someone posted an article on a web page called Resonances, which is kind of a little sort of mini book about music theory, like classical and stuff like that. And this writer came up with or identified this sort of thing as mimetic music, as in mimesis, or a mime, like the flute was miming the bumblebee. Right, and that makes the most sense to me. So I think it's always fun to learn about a new term, because I was confident that we were not the first ones to come up with suggesting a name for that sort of thing, because it happens all over the place.
This book is actually an incredible book, and it's it seems to be free, and actually released under the Creative Commons license. But it's an amazing book, with lots of depth, like music and storytelling, music and characterization, sung and dance drama, music for it's written like it's probably a PhD thesis or something, but really good and quite readable. So we'll have a link to that in the show notes.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll link to it from the other show we did as well. So for all you inquisitive minds out there, that's what that is.
Got a copy of that myself for sure. It sounds quite interesting.
For sure. Okie dokie. Now on to the main event. Hailing from the quiet, wooded mountain towns of New England, Nathan Jacques is a singer-songwriter now based in Los Angeles, California. Contrary to his geographical roots, Nathan paints deeply woven narrative stories in cinematic soundscapes that are undeniably and irresistibly Western. Starting with his 2021 debut album, Loud Mind, Nathan has been building his brand and following, offering something different from the traditional country trend, taking Los Angeles and the rest of the country by storm. His unique sound features powerful yet soothing baritone vocals, shepherding audiences through dramatic stories in song. Showcasing a wide range of influences, listening to Nathan Jacques feels like traveling through time and dreams into landscapes of classic films and records of old. Okay, let's get started by listening to Nathan Jacques' song All I See. And remember, you can find the lyric sheet on the show post at songtalk.ca to follow along. Let's hit it, Phil.
Half alive, dreaming to death on a mountainside. Oh, how beautiful the light after 1,000 nights. And all I see is you in my wavering eyes. Oh, I wandered through the dark, fierce and bright. Though they got me in the end, you never left my side. And I'd let them rip my heart out again if I could see you smile. Of all my demons, you were the best one. You stole my heart as if my mind weren't enough.
Yeah, just brilliant. Beautiful, beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Nice, quick song.
What I loved about it is those, because especially in the verses, it's very common. And I talked about this, doing the A-B style melody where you go da 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 da, and at first you expect the verse lines to resolve, but they just sort of stay up. They don't resolve. They stay open, on that one note, and it kind of makes it feel like it's a wide open plane. It kind of gives it that sort of space, which roots the whole song. It's such a nice little detail, and it's because it's a little bit unexpected, but it doesn't sound jarring. It fits with the song, and it's a technique that allows you to take the mood of the song and the subject of the song and sort of put it into physical form in some ways.
Yeah, that's a really good observation, actually, that you kind of hit a very small detail nail on the head there, Phil. I'm very impressed. So the verse melodies purposefully do stay up. They ascend. And the chorus melodies is all descending. Everything's going down. And the whole juxtaposition of this song and the story is that this main character's dying. And he's looking back on the love of his faithful lover, and the story and who he was and who he became, and how he's looking back and with sadness and with grief, but also with happiness and recognition and acknowledgement of just everything that's happened. So I wanted to capture that juxtaposition, so I did purposely write the verses to remain kind of upbeat, even though the subject matter is pretty dark and it's pretty dismal. But then the choruses, which kind of feels like the character's getting pretty real with the listener, like this is what it is. This is straight from it is pretty sad, even though I'm trying to stay positive. Like I am on the brink of death here. So that juxtaposition is very important as a theme. And so using the melody to reinforce that, you're right. I always hope that it hits on that subconscious level. I feel like most people don't know how to put that back into words, but bravo.
Yeah. I think that was the case for me. I was just like, this is so beautiful and uplifting and haunting at the same time. It was like, and I think it's because of that reason that you point out, Phil. There's a lot of tension through the verses. Like verses are supposed to be tension, Nashville 101, right? But then when you get to the chorus, it does sort of step down. Like usually your chorus, is an uplifting energy thing, but your chorus actually steps down, and it still sets apart itself as a chorus, and still sets apart that, like you say, Nathan, that difference, that contrast that you're going for from a melodic standpoint, really, really shines through in a way, even though it is dark, but and I love the way that through that you're able to give this song so much space. Like the verses actually take a really long time to get through, but doesn't feel, too lethargic or anything like that. I think because the rhythm of the music keeps it moving enough. It's not, it's not an up-tempo song necessarily. It's kind of a medium-tempo thing, but it really keeps the energy moving along. And I think the tension in each line of the verse just makes you, longing to hear what's going to come next. And you just want that next line already. You want that next line. It says you never come to a point of resolution, until you reach that chorus, which is just great. Because the whole thing is like, what, 7 minutes almost, I think?
It's a big one, yeah. Or at least 6, yeah.
Yeah, 606.
Yeah.
There you go.
And it's just verses and choruses. You have a bridge, but it's under the chorus chords. And it's like,
it's just a break from words, really.
Yeah, it's just a chorus with oohs and ahs, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times, we're always talking about specificity in lyrics, and there's some people who write lyrics, which I'm a big fan of Oasis, but I don't know what most of their songs are about.
Right.
This song is very clear what it's about, but it's not obvious. I mean, it's not like, oh, I've been shot and I'm lying here on the ground. You understand what's happening. It's specific, but it's not prescriptive. It's still open. It's a marvelous piece of work because it communicates exactly what you want to communicate it, but it's not obvious. You're not sort of saying, oh, I'm on this plane and I'm dying type thing,
Right. Because then it becomes musical theater, honestly.
Yeah.
It's still a song. It still has
Yeah.
to. You have to. It's not for you really at the end of the day. Like you write the song because it speaks to you and it comes from you, but it's for everyone else. And so like they need to be able to make it their own. That's what's important. And that's what makes it a good song.
Yeah, and you could
Even if
you could
there's a
even
really
you
detailed
could,
story to tell.
yeah, and you could even read this song as a metaphor for something, like, you know, maybe it has to do with, you know, it's drugs. I don't know, whatever. Who knows, right? But this is actually part of a larger story, isn't it? Like you've written an entire concept album, haven't you?
Yes, and this is the last piece. This is the final track on the record.
Okay.
It's the last we hear from this character who, and you know, spoiler alert, dies at the end of the record. And so this is his, you know, his final goodbye to the faithful lover that he was torn away from and couldn't end up getting back to. So he's basically taking a moment and delirious with death and imagining, kind of just singing one last lullaby to her and letting everything out, his feelings and his love and his, like I said, his recognition and grief and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, in that sense, it is kind of musical theater, isn't it? Because you've got a larger story, you're tying them all together. There is a denouement. This is the denouement, right? In that sort of a sense, because I mean, like the comparison that came to my mind as I was listening to this was the Decemberists. If you're a fan of the Decemberists,
oh sure, yeah, they've done a lot of big concept records that actually do sound more literally like musical theater. They have a very theatrical kind of sound, and the way that guy sings, beautiful stuff.
Yeah, just and then they weave these, you know, really epic stories at times that are just like these incredible things. So yeah, and yeah, I mean, it was interesting. We don't want to talk a lot about genre necessarily, but I found it interesting how in your bio that you gave us singer-songwriter as opposed to country artist, or you weren't specific about your genres. Singer-songwriters are pretty broad.
Right. You know, I'm honestly, it's probably my own fear of that word. The word country is just very, it's got a lot of baggage, good and bad. And so I don't want to tie myself to it necessarily. If I feel that way about certain parts of what I make, it's more important that it is Western, and I make that distinction, and I would be happy to talk about why. But that is what I'd rather go by as a Western artist, and not that pool is very large or recognized or talked about. But I do believe there's an important distinction there.
Well, so what's the difference between a Western? I mean, often, I mean, I've heard the term country Western maybe it's just as a substitute for country. I'm not sure.
Kind of, really, you know, country is, in at least I'm happy to be corrected, but the way I look at it and the way I know historically is, you know, country music comes from more so on the folk stuff, from the people for the people. It originates from, you know, in America, the blues and the African American folk singers way back in the day who were, you know, singing songs to get by through the day, and so it was, you know, songs of hardship, songs of work, songs of love, songs of home, songs of hopes and dreams. Like, it's, like I said, music for the people, from the people. Country is just the evolution of that through different sects of people and ways of life and changing of the world. It's all well and good and amazing, and the genre that I love very much. Western specifically, I tie more to the growth of that genre in correlation with the film industry, especially coming alive around like the 30s to the 50s. So like when, you know, the dramatized stories paired with music that were not parodies, but more so just exaggerated and filmic snapshots of those themes and broader themes found in Hollywood and just storytelling. The Western just encapsulates more drama, more larger than life, more room for play, more of a sandbox. And so I really feel that I identify with that a lot more, because I don't really write autobiographically per se. I like to imagine bigger stories and give these a lot of room to run that does not have to be grounded in reality or mine or necessarily reality. So that's kind of the distinction. Obviously, there are through lines like the certain grooves, the certain instrumentation, there's definitely stuff that they share, but I would choose Western over country if I had to give someone a lengthy answer as such.
No, I think that's a fantastic answer, and that's a really good distinction. That like maybe this genre would not exist had it not been for film, and then those kind of that style of storytelling. Yeah, like I kind of wonder, like if you took out the twangier guitar bits, is this a folk song? And does it matter? I don't know.
I wanted to ask what the process of writing the song was. Is this like a lyrics first thing, a music first thing? Of course, I guess it works within a concept.
It does, yeah. So so in that way, it's kind of two or threefold. I mean, as far as literally writing a song, this one I kind of it was one of those songs where you basically just get hit with something, and I just kind of vomited it all out one night. The whole song probably took around 30 to 45 minutes to write. And I was pretty far into writing the whole record, and I had the whole concept in mind from very early on. So the overarching story was all there, but usually how I write typically is that I overwrite in poetry and in story outline and short stories, and then I usually kind of let those sit and marinate in my head and on notepads and whatnot. And then when something inspiration musically strikes me, like a guitar part, a guitar riff, or a melody, I often have that bank either subconsciously or I go back to my notebooks that I pull from, and that's where it starts to become a song. And so I don't remember exactly how this one happened, but I just remember it was very fast. Like I think I got hit with the chorus melody, and then everything just fell into place around it.
So you're basically mostly a lyrics first writer.
I would say, yeah, lyrical content first, because often I'll have a chord progression that will come first, or words, I should say, and phrases, and then I would kind of use those and say, oh, this actually seems like it could fit really weird. The melody will kind of, I don't know, come to mind for it. Something.
Yeah, because there's a lot of, I mean, I want to talk about the chord progression in the songs. I find it really fascinating because there's again with that tension in the verses. It's like you're staying on one chord for the first like couple of lines, and then it shifts. It's one of those moments where it's just like tension, then it finally shifts. Sounds like it goes into a minor chord, and then you continue on. It's pretty cool. Like all the, like you're not changing keys. You're not doing anything that's really dramatic in that sense. But the choices with holding on in one chord space and then moving into another and then coming back is quite. It's very compelling. Like it feels cinematic, and it feels. Almost it doesn't feel ordinary, but it feels familiar at the same time.
Yeah, I think I'm a really big fan of simplicity in writing, to be honest, and so I don't need a flurry of chords or anything.
What a brilliant song! I mean, just beautifully done, and
yeah, absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
What a tune!
Yeah, and I just want to kind of shout out as well my wonderful band. I mean, that song is. I'm a big fan of that song. It's my favorite song from the record, but the group of guys that I have with me is just, I mean, it elevates the whole record and that song to a place that I only dreamed it could be. So, they deserve all the credit in the world to putting this project into another realm.
Right on. Okay. Yeah. And folks, definitely check out Nathan's YouTube videos, because you want cinematic, man, these things are like, they're so well done, like with the characters and the story and the shots and everything about them is just like, wow, this is like really, 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 really well done. And you're really ripping an old school kind of vintage feel to the whole thing, which is really cool. Love that.
Thanks, man. All very tongue in cheek, very fun stuff.
Yeah, and yeah. At the same time, there's this underlying satirical sort of tongue-in-cheek, winky wink kind of aspect to it.
Yep.
You break the fourth wall sometimes, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Why not? It's fun.
Why not? It's fun. Yeah, for sure. Okie dokie. Yeah, I'm here in the band. I think that's all the time we have on Song Talk Radio. Special thanks to Nathan Jacques. Where can our listeners find out more about you and hear the rest of the album?
Well, I know there's a lot of different platforms for doing all that kinds of fun stuff. So you can just head to nathanjacques.com and take it from there. Plenty to sprinkle up.
Awesome.
That baseball. Yeah.
All right. We'll link to that, your website there from the show post for this episode. And yeah, we want to hear from you too. So please send your comments on Facebook or Instagram to @SongTalkRadio, or send us an email at feedback@songtalk.ca. Also, be sure to check out our YouTube channel for live performance videos and full episodes, and subscribe today to the Song Talk Radio podcast on your favorite podcast provider. You can find links to all the products, web services, and books we mention on the show on our resources page on the website. And please join us at our next monthly Song Talk meetup. Whether you're in Toronto for in-person meetups or anywhere in the world for our online meetups, it's free to join on meetup.com and free to attend. Bring a song and a lyric sheet and get constructive feedback from other songwriters. Stop by songtalk.ca for the link. You can follow me at neilmodi.com. You can follow Phil
at philemery.ca.
And Nathan, what's your favorite social media channel? Where do you post the most?
That would be Instagram. It's definitely my biggest hub.
Cool. All right. So be sure to follow Nathan there. And be sure to stop by the website, songtalk.ca, to browse past shows and find out how you can be a guest. Thanks for tuning in, and keep on writing.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks so much.